everyone. I am definitely so happy to welcome you all again to my channel. Join me as I discuss simple guide on the conduct of LDM LAC sessions. To begin with, let me clarify on this one. Education program supervisors and public schools district supervisors are the instructional coaches together with the school heads. Each of them will be assigned specific school to handle and to organize LAC sessions to guide the teachers in the process of the LDM. Just like teachers, they too will undergo the LDM course too to prepare and to effectively render technical assistance as coaches for teachers. And they will also have portfolio, which is the instructional coach portfolio. Meanwhile, LAC leaders are LAC members assigned by the instructional coaches to lead the LAC groups. They are designated leaders by the school heads who may be a senior teacher from the LAC members, head teacher, or a master teacher. And they will submit the LDM implementation portfolio. Let me give you a clear direction on how to conduct LAC sessions for LDM. First of all, schools with the assigned instructional coaches will form LAC groups. Each LAC group must consist of only 2 to 15 members. In particular, in our school, we have 12 LAC groups because we have 12 grade levels from grade 1 to grade 12. The next is each LAC group will create LAC team or LAC committee. And this LAC team or LAC committee will compose of LAC leader, LAC facilitator, LAC documenter, and LAC resource speaker, which will all come from the LAC members. Here is an example of how we may conduct LAC sessions for LDM. LAC session number 1, which I have entitled as Task Delegation, targets Module 1. As we all know, in Module 1, teachers are not required to submit any output. But in Module 1, we are going to create LAC groups. As you can see in the diagram, the LAC instructional coach will be forming different LAC groups, and each group will consist of LAC leaders. Of course, these LAC leaders would come from the teachers who are the LAC members. Other than the LAC leaders, each group or each LAC group would also contain LAC facilitators, LAC documenters, and LAC resource speakers. Here in LAC session number 2, which I have entitled Open Communication, we are going to jump from Module 1 to Module 5. The reason is because we want to properly guide the teachers in the creation of their portfolio or the LDM implementation portfolio. And we can only do that if we are going to first discuss the evaluation rubric for the portfolio before teachers would even start answering the questions and the activities per modules. And these are the things that we need to discuss with our teachers in connection with the evaluation rubric for the LDM implementation portfolio. The first is the demonstration of progress of the LDM implementation, which is 30%. This refers to the outputs of the teachers from Module 1 to Module 5. The next we have is the quality of reflection, which is 25%. It deals with the experiences of the teachers in the use of the learning modalities adopted by the schools. It can also be seen in the answers of the teachers to the questions in the modules. We also have demonstration of professional standards, which is 20%. We have to assess whether the outputs of the teachers are relevant to professional standards. We also have language and overall presentation of the outputs, which is 15%. That means that we have to also evaluate whether teachers were able to express ideas clearly in their outputs. We also have the organization of portfolio, which is 5%. That means we need to also evaluate whether the contents of the portfolio or the outputs of the teachers are arranged properly and logically. And the last part of the evaluation rubric is timeliness, which is 5%. That only means that teachers have to follow a specific time frame in taking the LDM course too. Another important thing that we must include in the LAC session number 2 is the unpacking of sample milk. Why do we need to unpack milks? By streamlining the learning competencies to the most essential, we will be able to focus more on the learning activities and resources while having sufficient time for coverage and mastery. Here is an example from AYAP Quarter 1. One way of unpacking sample milk is by means of turning the most essential learning competency into learning objectives. One more way of unpacking milks would be by means of merging most essential learning competencies. As you can see in this example, we have two most essential learning competencies combined, or that can be combined in one lesson delivery. To guarantee that we are properly guiding our teachers towards their LDM course 2 journey, we need to conduct the LAC session number 3 focus on module 3. And here are the topics that we need to discuss. For the LAC session number 3, there are a lot of outputs required from the teachers. And here is an example. The list of targeted learner interventions. Look at the example. So we have to classify the learners into learner group and then provide targeted intervention for each of the learner group. Another example output for the LAC session number 3 is the learning task for distance learning. And this learning task may be provided to the class before the lesson, during the lesson proper, or after the lesson. Look at those examples. For the LAC session number 4, which I have given the title Sense of Accountability, there are two things expected from the teachers. One is the professional self-assessment questionnaire. So we just need to answer this questionnaire. One more thing that we need to talk about and discuss during the LAC session is the individual development plan. So here is an example that I have provided. Just look at the contents. That will be all for today. And just like what I tell my students, let us always wear a happy heart. Thank you for watching.